Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is a reaction that's probably going to go into the political reactions bin. Even though it isn't anything from a Trump rally or anything like that, it is Joe Rogan discussing the recent VP pick of Tim Walz and some of the things that he's been accused of. So we're going to go through that. And from the pieces and bits that I've seen, Joe Rogan isn't a big fan of him, and neither is his guest. So this, if you're a Kamala fan, you're probably not going to like what they have to say. But I at least want to listen to what they have to say and see if it's just a bunch of propaganda or if it's anything that's based on facts. So let's go ahead and kick this off.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
If someone is going to inherit your soul, they don't want it bogged down with bad habits.
Right. Yeah, well, they don't want it to be evil. They
Right.
want it to have negative energy attached to it and the karma of killing a bunch of people.
Right.
Like, who wants Dick Cheney's soul? You know? The alien's like, you could have that, dude.
Remember when he shot someone and then the guy apologized to
Yeah.
him? Isn't that nuts?
You know how gangster that is?
Yeah.
That was very...
You shoot a guy in the face and
I don't know if anybody remembers that or if you're too young to remember when Dick Cheney, former vice president, shot a guy while hunting in the face with a shotgun, and then the guy that got shot actually apologized to Dick Cheney. It was hilarious.
dude's like, yeah, I look like a bird. Don't worry about it.
I
Yeah.
look like a deer. Is there any way to you that we're not being gaslit like to hell by Kamala Harris?
In what way?
Like, wasn't she like a joke even among Democrats?
Uh-huh.
Like 10 seconds ago? Like literally,
Sure.
like a day ago.
Yep.
And now it's like the country's rallying around.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
What? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
even.
They're not rallying behind her. They're rallying against Trump. I'm sure everybody knows that, but they're definitely rallying against Trump. And by default, they're rallying for her. It's definitely not because anybody thinks that she would make a good president.
We're so easily manipulated, and they're all doing it in lockstep. Yeah, no doubt about it. There's no
Again,
doubt
that's
about
fine.
it. She polled as the least popular vice president of all time.
Yeah.
She is, I had dinner with a friend of mine recently who actually knows her. He says she's very smart, but when she gets in front of a camera, she locks
Right.
up, and she's just not good at communicating, and she tries to go off.
I don't think anybody that's not partisan is going to accuse her of being a stupid person. I mean, she's had a very decent career. A lot more. It took a lot more intelligence to get where she is than obviously where I am, or a majority of people on YouTube are. So no, I don't think anybody's accusing her of being stupid, but I think he's about to hit the nail on the head.
Off script, and she, whenever you're talking in front of a large group of people,
Right.
there's a bizarre stress and pressure that really constricts your ability to communicate.
I'm aware
Yeah.
as of the last few minutes.
Yeah, it's weird. And this is just you and me, right? This is
Right.
just you and me. And now imagine you and me, but we're in front of 15,000 people
I'd be
that are
shaking
hanging
like
on
a
our every
leaf if
word,
I was
and you're kind of
on a Joe
freeballing,
show.
and maybe you really haven't even done the research. Like someone's asking you how you're going to fix the economy, you right? And then you have some well, the problem is everybody needs money because the bills, and we're working on that. Like what?
Well, and that's so obvious when, with the passage of time is significant, and the significance of the passage of time is significant because of the passage of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's someone who is basically like a kid in the 5th grade who's writing a book report, but they haven't read the book.
That's every time I see
Yep.
her on camera, that's all I can think is that she's the kid who didn't do her homework.
Right.
Yep.
Because she just has that vibe. Did you see the clip of her talking about how dare we wish Merry Christmas to people?
That was a good
No.
analogy.
Yeah, she does this.
That was a very good analogy, and I've never thought of that. It's a kid that's trying to give a report on a book they didn't read. So they're just in front of the class trying to talk their way through it and sound like they know what they're talking about. That is a really good analogy. I've never thought about that. Okay.
bizarre rant about how we shouldn't be wishing Merry Christmas to anyone.
Is this when she was a senator?
I don't know. It's recent.
It's recent.
Yeah,
Really?
it's so strange that that was her. That's the only time I've seen her passionate about anything on camera.
Come on, really?
Yeah, it was-
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no, she
I've
doesn't.
seen the one she was telling that people need to be woke. Everyone needs to be more woke.
Oh,
You should
yeah?
be more woke. You should figure out who's the wokest. And try to be the
Be more
wokest,
woke.
but you should, whatever. Everyone
No,
should be more
no,
woke.
thank
She's
you.
laughing. It's like, what the fuck?
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
What?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
She invoked Greta Thunberg a little bit there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nutty.
Yeah.
How dare we?
How dare we?
And she
How dare
probably
you.
thought she was doing
no,
a
we're
good
definitely
job
being
at the
gaslit.
speech.
And not only that, here's the big one, right? She wasn't elected, right? She was appointed vice president, and then they didn't do primaries. They had no primaries for Joe Biden, and now all of a sudden she is the nominee because he's stepping away. And so then they bring in her, and they bring in this other guy who's radical from Minnesota. That's the vice president, who he believes a lot of wild things. One of them is transgender surgery for people who are under 13.
That's not good.
Another one is abortion
illegal.
up until 9 months.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know
obviously,
about that.
There's reasons why people medically would, like, if the woman's life is in danger, if the child has something wrong, it's not going to live.
Right.
There's reasons why they choose to do things like that, but that stuff scares the fuck out of people. He changed the Minnesota state flag to make it look like a Somali flag. Yeah.
Oh.
You haven't seen that?
I don't know. Okay, so just a quick reaction to that. The affirming care, what do they call it? Gender affirming care or something like that. Yeah, that's one of the biggest piles of crap that has been sold to the Western world in the past few years. And I think we're going to look back on that in 25 years and be like, oh my God, what are we doing? We let children that aren't old enough to vote, to go buy cigarettes, or to drink alcohol, or get a tattoo, or drive a car, decide that they want to have their body mutilated. And in some states, they're drafting laws where the schools and other people don't actually have to tell the parents of the child that they are getting this done. That is a huge mistake on humanity. That's not a political issue. That's not a right wing or a left wing issue. That's just a moral issue. The one about abortion up to 9 months. 9 months means it's a baby. It just hasn't come out of the mother yet. That is the case that you would have to sell that for the health of the mother would be the one and only case that you could use that an argument for that late of a term abortion, that late of a term. So again, it's one off. There is no way you can have an umbrella that covers all of those arguments for the abortion argument, but that is it's a tough one to sell, like he said. So let's move on to the Somali flag thing. This one was kind of hard to sell, but it definitely wasn't a good look.
No.
Yeah. Show that video. So the video of him taking down the Minnesota flag and he replaced it with the new flag that looks a lot like the Somali flag.
Wow.
Minnesota has a huge population of Somalis in
I
it.
never
Well,
knew
isn't
that.
what's her face?
Yes.
Yeah. Omar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
But there's a video of him doing it.
she's a wonderful, wonderful person.
Man,
Well, okay, well, let's see the video. But they did change the Minnesota state flag, correct?
Sometimes the false.
It's hard to hear Jamie.
Yeah,
talking.
that's the problem with, like, fact checkers. Some of these fact checkers are completely full of shit.
They are.
Like, you're just trying to debunk something, especially now when there's all this scrutiny being paid attention to what this guy's done.
Yeah.
Right.
What have you, what's the false stuff, Jamie? It's not the flag itself, correct?
Yeah, I typed
There
in.
he is.
I was just trying to even get to it. A whole bunch of stories are popping up. I'll just show you this. Like, no, he didn't give him a Somali flag. No, he didn't change
No,
it to
it's-
resemble Somali. False Somali.
But
state
what does
flag.
it look
It's like-
Okay, but what does it look like now?
That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay, on the left is Somali flag. On the right is the Minnesota state flag. Okay, same color as Somali flag, a white star, a different white star in it, like the Somali flag. Very different than the original Minnesota flag. And there's the video down below that. That's
What
when
was
he
the
changes
purpose
it
of
out. So he
changing the
takes
flag,
out
though?
the Minnesota state flag. Oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Turn the volume up, please, so you hear him say that.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, moves it out of the way, and replaces it. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
There, that's better.
Is it?
Why is that better?
I don't know.
Why do you care what the flag looks like, first of all? And why do you get to change the flag? How crazy is that the governor gets to change the flag? Like, who else is involved in that decision to change the flag?
Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Usually it's a big event. They let people
Right.
pick.
Should you vote on that?
There's
Right. No, we
voting
have a
on it,
bunch of people
picking on
that's
it.
a high population of Somalis in your state. I would imagine they would want to try to get that flag a little closer to home.
Yeah.
That's possible.
The worst incident of
Again, but that's
fact checking was the quid pro quo Joe clip, where Biden brags about that time that he withheld $1 billion of aid to Ukraine
So they fire a prosecutor.
what
to
are we
fire a
going down this
prosecutor that we
line
now
of
know his son
discussion
worked for.
though?
Mm-hmm.
And if you type that in, Snopes or whatever would tell you just like, oh, that didn't happen. Biden, there was no quid.
I think they're kind of going off track of the vice president now. They're kind of going down the fact checkers and whatnot, and how they haven't been honest. They're definitely anti-Biden and anti-Democratic Party right here. So, but I'll keep listening and see what else they have to say.
Pro quo, and Biden didn't want the prosecutor fired. That is because he didn't know that his son worked for Burisma at the time. And it's like how can you just say that's fake? And like it's scary to me that people will read that and be like, "Oh, it's fake." It's like,
Yeah.
no, look at it, like with your eyes.
Yeah, fact checkers are fucking dangerous, and it's really. I mean, what you're seeing is kind of treason.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of what it is. If you're
That's a
seeing
scary
that kind
word.
of fact checking, you're lying. You're lying, and you're intentionally misrepresenting facts, and you're doing so because you want a specific result politically,
right.
and it should be illegal.
I agree.
Especially if people think of you as a fact checker, and what does that mean? What does it mean to be a fact checker? The problem with facts is a lot of them are very subjective. And you can find
Right.
one small inconsistency or you could phrase a question in a certain way and have your answer false in a different way because you're just finding some nitpicky way to look at things. I've seen a lot of that to the point where you're like, that's not fact checked at all. You guys just you're gaslighting. It's just
Right.
pure gaslighting.
This is what it says. Who picked the new flag?
State Emblems Redesign Commission, tasked with choosing the new flag and seal, made its final selections this week, and the new design will debut next year. It follows 4 months of meetings, many spirited debates, and 2,500 submissions from the public sharing their ideas for the new
Okay,
symbols.
I mean,
This
that
is why they
sounds fine.
changed it. He said it was problematic.
Problematic. Oh, I love that term.
I think we
Our
all know
current
that.
flag is problematic. I think we all know that. We've evolved into a more diverse state, and I think it's more reflective of that. Okay, what was the original flag? There's
White
concern with the
settlers.
scene depicted on the old flag, which many found offensive. First adopted in 1957, the flag showed a white settler tilling land as an indigenous man rides horseback. Indigenous members of the State Emblem Redesign Commission said it was harmful to their communities and promoted the erasure of their people from the land.
What?
Well, can I see what it looks like? Show me the original.
Again, if they
just get a
voted for
photo
it,
of the original
you know.
Minnesota flag.
Not everybody has to agree, but
Okay, click on that. Let's see what it looked like. Okay. So there's
very
a
blurry.
Native American on horseback. I see it though. And then there's a farmer tilling the land, a Native American on horseback. Is that problematic because Native Americans didn't really ride horses and people didn't really till the land? Like, I don't understand what.
There's a big controversy about that actually.
Yeah.
Whether or not
Goodness
horses,
gracious.
how long horses have been in North America.
why is there such
Well,
a
horses
controversy?
originated in North America.
What?
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
horses originated in North America, including zebras. All of them originated in North America. Then they were
Oh.
wiped out, and they had been
Really?
introduced
Really? I
into
did not know
Asia
that.
and Africa and all these other continents, and then reintroduced back to America
Right. I meant like
when people rode them.
to correct it.
Right.
So a lot of people are saying that First Nations peoples had horses for a lot longer than Europeans had been in America.
It's certainly possible. There's certainly different segments, different North American tribes that were much better, including right here where we are, the Comanche.
Mm-hmm.
The Comanche were notoriously good at raising horses, and it was
Right.
part of how fierce.
That's interesting. I never knew it was a controversy that Well, I had always heard things that, the folks from Spain and England and all those guys that were coming over here brought horses with them, obviously because they were riding horses. I didn't know it was a controversy to say that showing an indigenous person, a Native American riding a horse was offensive. I never knew that. I guess they were, first of all, depicting the flag that an Native American was riding a horse running away from a white man tilling the land. I guess, again, they voted on it. So, to me, that's not that big of a deal. People vote on stuff that I don't agree with all the time. That wouldn't have bothered me. The part about trying to placate to your folks that moved here from a different country by changing your state flag to look similar to where they came from, that's kind of a strange thing to do. And it may be a reach. I don't know what their population of Somalis folks or people that are moved here from Somalia, are they American citizens now? I would assume so. So they're American citizens at this point. But, it's politics, man. People are going to play politics on both sides. If you're in a state run by a majority of one type of folks from one area, obviously you're going to try to get their vote by doing, if that's what he was doing, it would make perfect sense. So that doesn't blow my mind. The thing about zebras and stuff being in North America and then being eradicated and reintroduced, that's a new one to me. I never knew that. If I've heard it before, I've forgotten it.
Fierce they were. They had so many horses. And they rode them so well, and they could ride sideways and shoot arrows underneath the horse's neck.
That's crazy.
But I don't know why that's so problematic. You got to replace it with something that looks a whole lot like a Somali flag. Yeah. The idea that it doesn't look like a Somali flag is kind of crazy. I mean, it does.
It does.
It certainly does. It's certainly the same color. Certainly also has a white star. It's just a different white star.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, the flag doesn't bother me that much.
No.
If the people in Minnesota like it, who cares? It's just a star and some colors. The real problem is when you hear discussions of things that are like openly Marxist philosophies, when you hear talk about equal outcomes and not just equal opportunity, but that we all need to arrive at the same place, equal outcome talk. There's only one way they can do that, and it's by forcing you.
Well, it's by everyone having nothing.
Yeah.
That's the only way to have things totally equal. Because you can't have everyone have everything. That's impossible.
Right. There's no way. There's not enough resources. And so for equal distribution, that has to be enforced by law. So that has to be enforced by the government, and the government generally does not have equal. They have much more than you. Yes. And that's Fidel Castro in Cuba. That's North Korea. That's virtually every communist country that's ever existed. You have a military dictatorship that decides what you can and can't do with your time.
Sure.
And all under the guise of making it better for everyone. And that's exactly what they did to North Korea. When they took over people's farms, they said, we're going to take over the farm so that everybody has food. Yay, good. Now everyone's starving. Right. And the government has all the food. And if you kill a cow, they'll kill you. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts that people don't learn from history, and it's nuts that people who subscribe to this leftist.
What's also scary, and again, we all know, it's not a secret that, Joe definitely, he never states that he's a Republican or a Democrat, but a lot of his views are what some folks would say right-leaning. And by why I do this is because for some weird reason, in 2024, you're a right-wing person if you don't agree with communist views, like socialism and things like that. And I know plenty of folks that would vote Democrat that aren't like that are normal, moderate Democrats, just like moderate Republicans, people that have common sense. But it seems like the agenda of people trying to divide us as a country, they tend to take things that should be obvious, like disagreeing with communism, and they make it into one side or the other. Like, no, that's not a side. That's just basic common sense. Sort of like the gender affirming care thing. That's not a left or right wing thing. That's a general common sense, whether you agree with it or not, which is ridiculous.
ideology have this very distorted version of humans and how capitalism works and what's the benefits of it. I think there's a lot of parts of progressive ideology and philosophy that could be applied to society to make things better. I think if we funded more things the same way we fund the fire department, the police force, these are kind of socialist things, right?
Yes.
Everybody gets access to the fire department.
And
Right.
It's a
everybody
part
pays
of being in the
into it.
community. We all pay for it.
Right.
Education is that way, but it should be much more funded, right? It should be much more prestigious, much better trained teachers, a more esteemed position. I feel the same way about law enforcement. They should be much more respected, much better trained. We
Yes.
should put much more resources into that and have them be integral and a part of the community and for the safety of the community. Not the bad guys who come in to pull you over because you rolled through a fucking stoplight. You know, that kind of shit.
Right.
Right.
And I think the problem is these people that have this idea of equal outcome, this is the worst version of all these leftist ideologies. The worst version is open borders, everybody should have everything, and then equal distribution of it. And then what always comes with that is they unarm the citizens. And if they don't unarm the citizens, you can't get away with any of this stuff.
Right.
But as soon as you have no one has guns other than the police.
And see, there again, I'll go ahead and end this because it looks like they're starting to go away from what the original conversation was about. But it's a lot of good points and a lot of true points. Again, you can agree or disagree. Unfortunately, a lot of things that he's saying are facts, and they don't have anything to do with right-wing or left-wing, conservative or, Democrat. That's all true statements. One of the ways they enforce it is they unarm the citizens. That way you have no way to defend yourselves. And again, they turn that political. What's the one political party that you think about in America when you think about gun control? It's the Democrats. The right side, conservatives, are all about, it's not the guns that are killing people, it's the people that are killing people. That's a fact. If you the states where all the strictest gun laws are is also where a majority of gun murders take place, like Chicago. So it's not the laws, but again, it's been politicized. So, it's really tough. It's a tough place to navigate, and also it's a tough landscape in 2024 to give your honest opinion and not be hated by one side or the other, because that's the whole purpose. That's the algorithm trying to separate us as Americans and also trying to brainwash us. And there are a lot of people that think that way, as just right or left, or black and white. There is no gray. And that is one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, is we live in a gray world. There is no white or black for everything. Certain things, yes, they're white and black. A lot of things, you got to meet in the middle. And it's impossible to do that when every day you're bombarded by rhetoric from both sides to hate each other, and the other person is the enemy, and they want to destroy the country, they want to kill you, etc., etc. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, you want to stop back by, check out some more videos. I cover everything from gameplay, which is what I really enjoy doing, gameplay, and also some reactions, some not political reactions. I'll keep them in a separate group. So thanks, you guys, for stopping by, and I hope you have a blessed weekend. Take care.